Hello and welcome. It's me, Miles44, and I'm back with another Cardfight Vanguard Gray Online deck profile. Today's deck profile. Yep, that's what I said. We have the dragon that controls lightning and thunder. Eradicator Tempest Bolt Dragon. So, with the release of BT14, we have Mr. Eradicator the Tempest Bolt Dragon. Pretty powerful, solid boss card for Norakami. Like, really solid, powerful boss card. Like really. It's a very, very strong card. This deck has a lot of field control. And it gets its cards back, too. So, it's a very, very strong deck in that sense of, you know, keeping its hand nice and steady, but at the same time, just field controlling, bombing field. Blowing up, boom, boom. You get the gist of it, right? Like, it's all about controlling and blowing up your opponent's field, pretty much. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So our starter, of course, is Ambush Dragon Eradicator, Linchu. Obvious starter for any Norakami deck because this thing is a badass. And it is the better station. Enough said. So yeah, easy starter, obviously, and then we have 4 Tempest Bolt Dragon, Eradicator Tempest Bolt Dragon. So if you don't know what he does, you counterblast 3 cards with Eradicator in its card name, and you retire all of each fighter's rear guards. So that's his limit break. I forgot to say limit break 4. Darn it! Restart video. No, I'm kidding. And then its continuous skill is, for every open rear guard, this unit gets power plus 2,000 during your turn. So, most of the time, there are 2, 3, maybe 4 open spaces on the field, on the entire field. So, it all depends on, you know, if your opponent has another column, or well, what they have. But, a lot of the time, I do normally get to swing for, like, especially if I have to ride him early, I do normally get to swing for high, like, 20s. Low 20s. And I try to just abuse that fact. But he's a really, really powerful card. And he's a field nuke, basically, but he gains power off of it. So, he's a good field nuke. If you think of, I know this is a completely different card game, but if you think of Yu-Gi-Oh!, and you think of Dark Hole and Regeki, he's the Regeki. He's the field nuke, but he gets power. Even though Dark Hole is the same. I think you get my point. I don't know why I just referenced that. I'm a little tired. I'm sorry, guys. Trying to get this done because, yeah. But yeah, so he's just a really, really strong boss card. And with the break ride, too, it doesn't help. So we have 4 Eradicator Ignition Dragon. So if you don't know what he does, limit break 4. You counterblast 1. When Norakami rides this unit, you can pay the cost. And if you do, your opponent chooses 2 of her rear guards, retires them, and your Vanguard gains 10,000 power until end of turn. And then it also has that ability that if your opponent has less rear guards than you do, it gains 2,000 when it attacks. Well, it's more rear if you have more rear guards than they do, but same thing. Just different wording. But yes, so comboed with this card, it really, really burns your opponent's cards. Like, I mean, with Linchu, you kill a card. With this, you counterblast 1, kill 2 cards. And it's an incredible card because most of the time you're counterblasting, like in Kagero and Norakami, you're counterblasting 2 to retire 1. Card. I mean, unless it's Vowing Saber Reverse, which you get to retire 2, but you have to lock 2 cards, for Pete's sake. This deck is just like, okay, Ignition Dragon, Break Ride, Counterblast 1, say bye to 2. Only difference is, your opponent gets to choose them. So, if you're wise about, you know, your play, you can actually force out some cards that they don't want leaving. But it's just a really, really strong card with Tempest Bolt, and just kills their field even more, and that's what I was stressing about. Like, it's just bombing your opponent's field. It is non-stop bombing their field. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on to our grade 2s. So we have 4 Eradicator Spark Rain Dragon. 12k beaters, really important, especially, of course, in this deck, where you can swing for 12k after, you know, the field's blown up, so you can, like, because, you know, you can't call overly too much, because you will lose some cards too, so you can just swing with it. Sometimes you won't be able to call overly too much, that's what I meant. So you can just swing with it, 12k, and also, good early game to leave an open rearguard circle, so you lose less, and also your Tempest Bolt gains more power, if riding early too. So yeah, just 12k solid card, but really helps in this deck. Anyways, so we have 3 Supreme Army Eradicator Zuitan. Now this card I was very debatable about at first, but I came to like this card in this deck because of how it works. Ignition Dragon is one of those kind of guys that if you break red it twice, it's really good. But when you look at how many counterblasts you have, like 1 for Linchu, 1 for Ignition, 1 for Tempest Bolt. I mean, maybe you can just play a different starter, just for lulz, so you can get 2 break rides. But it's not gonna happen every game that you get 2 break rides. But when you do get the chance to break ride, it's really good. And as well, you do utilize the soul for draw power. Because of, you know, how many cards you lose too, you got to utilize the soul for that. So because of this, Zuitan is actually a really good card. You don't want him hitting every single game, but if he does get the hit, it's good. It's a free Linchu, and the big thing is, you know, you want to get a second counterblast with Ignition, and then the soul charge is helpful, as I said. But the second break ride with Ignition, like if you break ride Ignition on Ignition and then break ride Tempest Bolt, it basically retires 4 of their units, and then they have to call up more, and then you blow up the field. But the second retiring is just really strong, and I mean it forces your opponent to, you know, think about, okay, should I call these out and get them blown up, or should I keep him in my hand and not have too much pressure on him, and it gives him more power. So what are you gonna do to it? It's not easy, and Zuitan just helps put that icing on the cake that just ensures, you know, helps you get more pluses, and then also it helps you just get more minuses on them, like just blow up their field. He helps you blow up their field more, if that's a good way to put it. I know that took a minute to explain, but I was trying to stress. I didn't used to play this card, but I found it was a really good card in this deck because of just, it helps in 2 different ways if it hits just once. I mean, you don't always need it, and that's why I play 3 and not 4, because you don't always need it, especially if you ride Tempest Bolt first. You're not going to want him, and he's just kind of going to be a dead 9k that just attacks. So that's why 3. Most of the time you try to go for it. Anyways, we have 2 Fiendish Sword Eradicator Cho-Ou. So I did used to play 3 before I put Zuitan in, and I've realized, you know, I don't need to play 3. There's another card that can kill front rows that's a little better for this deck to combo with. But Cho-Ou is still a good card, so I still want to play 2, and I still want to, you know, utilize my grade 3s to just kill some stuff on their field. Kill. You like how I said that? But yeah, so he's just a really strong card. And yeah, you don't overly need him too much in this deck. So that's why I just play through 2. I actually thought about taking him out because, you know, you bomb the field and stuff, and I kind of thought about taking him out, but there are a couple games that I have found I need him, and having the 2 is just really nice, and helps keep the deck consistent with that retiring. Because if you don't get the grade 1, most of the time if you don't get the grade 1 version of him, most of the time I get him. So that's what I meant by it keeps it consistent, and the 2 is just really good because of that. And then I play 2 Eradicator Thunderboom Dragon. Of course, you guys know I'm the kind of guy who tries who always does my best to stay off of cards that I just like because they're fun to use and such. I focus on the cards that work well with the deck. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that, but that's how I look at my decks. So, but yeah, with Thunderbolt Dragon, just 10k beater, really solid. You know, sometimes you can call them early, so you don't have to call something behind there, so, you know, it powers up your Tempest Bolt, or when you blow up the field, you lose one less card, and it helps hit stuff for after the field is blown up, too. So, same thing as Spark Rain. Then it's just a solid 10k, like I explained in my Zenith, with a lot of the 19k columns early on. Solid 10k backup ride, basically. So, he's your backup ride if you don't get Zuitan. Pretty much. And then we have 2 R grade 1s, 4 Perfect Guard, Eradicator, and Wyvern Guard Guld. And just in case you guys want to know, I will not switch it to a Quintet Wall because you really use up your Counterblast in deck. You need to save them. So, and especially with the size of the hand you have, you don't need a Quintet Wall. Perfect Guard's perfectly fine. See what I did there? Okay. Anyways, and then 3 Certain Kill Eradicator, Ouei. So basically what he does, if you don't know, you put it in your soul when you ride, when your grade 3 unit with Eradicator and its card name is placed on Vanguard. And if you pay the cost, you choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the front row and kill it. So he combos well with Ignition Dragon. He's basically the other Cho-Ou, except you kill him instead of, you know, any other rear guard. But the reason he's really, really good is because when you ride Ignition, and especially with all the pluses you have in the deck, it's no bother that you lose this card once. But when you ride Ignition or when you break ride Ignition or break ride, when you break ride, just that. When you break ride, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused in my own words. When you break ride, basically, you just throw them into the soul, retire their front row, and then force them to retire either, you know, back rows or just maybe a front row and a back row. Because most of the time they would just kill the 2 front rows and call new ones, because it's really not hard to call new front rows. So, because of that, you know, you could just utilize this card as picking off cards. It helps you to pick off cards like that with the break ride combo. It just really, really helps. And then we have 3 Eradicator Demolition Dragon. So same thing as Thunderboom, your 10k beaters, but grade 1. Yeah. And then we have 3 Rising Phoenix. So I did play 2 of these, but I found 3 a lot better, especially with, you know, Certain Kill, going in the soul, Cho-Ou putting something in the soul, Zuitan soul charging, and even the break ride that puts another card in the soul. So by playing 3 of these, if I do get all 3 off, you know, I could soul blast 2 and draw. So that's a +3, but most of the time I only get to use 2, and it just helps get cards back for the cards you lost after the field nuke. And it's just a really solid card. I would not play more than 3, but I found 2 too little. I'm too punny today. I should do a punathon. But I found 2 too little because of just, you can utilize the soul a little more than that. So I decided to play 3, but no more than that, because you do need your special counterblast, and I mean, you're not gonna get all 3 in the damage zone, right? Gets all 3 in the damage zone. Deck, why you troll me? Alright, so, and then we have 1 Eradicator of the Ceremonial Bonfire, Castor. Basically your drop and draw. Just to help you find cards you need. You know, drop draw trigger to help find maybe a grade 2, a grade 3, or a grade 1 after you've bombed the field. I did used to play like 2 of her. I didn't find the need for 3, but I did used to play 2 of her. Just to help a little more, but the Rising Phoenix is definitely a better card, because it's like you Soul Blast 2 to draw a card. With this, you just drop and draw. But you don't want to play more than 3 Rising Phoenix. So that's why I just have 1 of her. I have thought of switching her to Demolition Dragon, a 4th one, or a 4th Ouei. 4 Oueis is too much, but 4 Demolition Dragon might not be so bad. So that's a thought for you guys. And then on to triggers, 4 Divine Spear Eradicator Pollux, and 3 Eradicator Yellow Gem Carbuncle, so 7 crit, 4 Eradicator Blue Gem Carbuncle, and 1 Eradicator Dragon Mage, 5 draw, and 4 Demonic Dragon Eradicator Seiobo. So, pretty standard lineup. 7 crit, 5 draw, 4 heal. 5 draw just because, you want to get those cards back that you've lost. You have the Rising Phoenixes for that, but the 5th draw is really, really helpful, especially because sometimes you might lose a lot from the field nuke, and, what if you don't get the 1 Rising Phoenix as well? So the 5 draw just keeps it nice and consistent, and this boss card is too deadly. Playing 5 draws isn't bad. So yeah, it's a very, very solid deck, very pressure, very field bomby, as I said, especially on your opponent's side. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me in this part. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like and comment, and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Let me know what you think about the deck profile and which ones you want to see next, because I'm going back in time and doing whatever deck profile I can. And the link to the deck list will be in the description below, so with a link to my Twitter, Skype, and Facebook. And that's about it, and I'll see you guys next time.